Hey guys, it's Billy here. We are doing a 2-for-1 special video today. Right here, I'm gonna kind of pull in this to parking lot here. This is Bellevue West, and I'm doing this for a friend of mine. Oh, I guess I could have gone in there. There are cheerleaders doing some sort of drill, so I'm not going to go in there and roll on by with my camera all slow and perverted. But this high school this high school is where Rope Hall 619 went, and so I thought I'd do a video. But like I said, the cheerleaders are out doing some sort of drill thing, so we're going to try to keep this subtle. But anyway, the topic of today's video is a follow-up vid to my what I would have done differently had I known about Alaska. I know I did that video. I promised that I would do it the next day, but unfortunately I did it. I actually shot it, but it wasn't any good. I didn't like it. So I'm doing it again on a different bike on a different day. So some of the things that I would have changed had I known, or what I would have done differently. For one, I would have checked with my credit card company before going to Alaska, because my debit card did not work in Canada. I couldn't get any cash. And we got to some very isolated places in Canada that they only accepted cash, and in those situations, Tracy had to pay for us. So I would have gotten some cash before I would have left, or checked with my credit card company to make sure that I could have got cash on that card. Another thing that I would have changed is I would have taken more time. This is a big deal because we took 22 days, or at least I did anyway. Tracy took another 2 days on top to get to my house and get back home. And that was just all the vacation time that we had saved up. That was it. That's all. That was our limit. But we sat in my dining room table and we drank scotch, and we had a map of Alaska and a map of Canada and a map of the US, and we had map planning software and route. And we had a Milepost magazine. If you don't know what that is, it's like a all-encompassing magazine that comes out every couple months that talks about the status of all these roads. So we had all the necessary things to plan our route. And we sat there and we planned it, and the problem was our own experience bit us in the ass. And what I mean by that is that we divvied up the ride in normal BWOM days, not realizing that the KLRs were so much slower than our normal bikes, that these were going to be much longer days than we expected it to be, and it sucked. It really made the ride just almost torturous. So I would have taken longer. I would have taken longer, probably 30 days. Another thing about taking longer days, a lot of the campsites that we saw were just unbelievably beautiful. You know, we're talking like a mountain and a crystal lake and just nobody out there but us, and we couldn't stop at them because we had a time crunch that we had to keep, and it kind of sucked ass. Another thing that I would have changed is when we went. We left my house, I think, July the 30th, and we got up to Prudhoe in, I don't know, August 4th or 5th or something like that. 6th. I don't remember when we actually got up there. I will put an annotation or something in there. We got to Prudhoe from my house in 8 days. And we did this, we didn't split the days up because we wanted to get there fast and then be able to relax on the way home, and that would buy us a couple days if we got into any kind of trouble. But the time of year that we went was the rainy season in Alaska and in Canada. There's a very small window that a motorcycle can go up to Prudhoe Bay. I don't remember what it is. It's like 6 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks, and then otherwise it's just shitty up there. You can't traverse it on a bike. And we went very late in that season, and it was one of those things that if we were both obligated with work stuff and we just could not leave when we wanted to, which would have been probably late June. That would have been a better time to go. So if you guys are planning it, I would definitely go in June sometime. So take your time, take like 30 days to do it. You know, if you're going to do it on a KLR, make your days like 300-mile days, 250-mile days, and you'll enjoy it more. And I don't think I'd be as bitter towards the KLR had I, you know, taken my time. The third thing that I would have changed is camping gear. Now this is kind of a weird thing. We had planned on going 2 days in hotels and then 1 day camping, and that was our strategy. But the first place we were supposed to camp was in Dawson's Creek, British Columbia, or Alberta. It's right there on the border. And we got there, and it was like a 14-hour day, and it was dusty and gross, and we just couldn't find the campsite, and it was hot. And I saw this little Krabby Comfort Inn, and there was a pizza place that you could get beer at right across the street, and I'm like, fudge it, I'm going in there. And then the next time we were supposed to camp, we were at Watson Lake, and this is where the rainy season comes in. It was raining, and it was like 45 degrees. It was just disgusting. Again, we could not find the campsite. It wasn't properly marked, and we drove around, and then we were just like, fudge it. I'm calling it. And Tracy pointed to me, he's like, you were a pussy last night, and I'm going to be a pussy tonight, and we're staying in a hotel. And then after that, we were like, well, we'll just stay at campsites all the way back home. We'll just do it, like, we'll make it up to ourselves. All the way back home, the last 2,000 miles in Canada and in Alaska, from Fairbanks all the way to Vancouver, it rained constantly. From kickstands up to kickstands down, 2,000 miles, this rain followed us, and it was just awful. And the last thing you want to do after getting rained on for 13, 14 hours straight in a motorcycle is set up a camp and then just sit inside the tent all wet and gross and whatever. So that kind of pissed me off, because the camping gear I took, I bought it all brand new, and it was like $250, and I never used it. The whole Alaska trip, we never camped once, and I'm really, really bummed out about it. We just didn't get the opportunity. And the crappiest part about it was we had to unload it and upload it every time we packed the bike. So the stuff that I didn't use was already in the way every day, and it just was like, oh, the stupid camping gear. But had we taken a lot longer and shorter days, we could have, you know, stopped at some of those scenic campgrounds, and we could have camped. So basically, the things that I would have done differently, they would have intermingled with one another and probably made the ride so much better. If I would have taken a Suzuki V-Strom, I would have taken 30 days. I would have used my camping gear. I would have had cash money. It all would have been so much better. And had I gone in June, I would have stayed dry. I did a packing video probably about 2 months before the ride. I did a packing video talking about all the stuff I was going to take. And while we were on the ride, Tracy suggested that we make a follow-up video to that on all the stuff we actually used. And I liked the idea, and I thought it was pretty interesting. But the one fallback to that is that I didn't want to give people the wrong impression, you know, that this stuff was not useful just because we didn't use it, because every rider is different, every ride is different, every circumstance and situation is different, and you want to be prepared for all that stuff. So definitely take all that stuff, and I didn't want to give everybody the wrong impression and go, oh, here's the stripped down version, because you never know when you're going to need that. So I would have taken everything that I took, knowing what I know now, except for my camping gear.